Hi, I'm Chris. I'm chairman of Rhyl and Asaph Angling Association. It's Good Friday 2025. This morning I decided I need to get fishing. I need to get out fishing and I need to get out on the rivers. Weather forecast wasn't great today, certainly not for fishing somewhere like Llynbrennig, 1200 feet above sea level, but I really haven't fished the rivers this season at all yet. I think I had one day out on opening day on the 3rd of March, and that was just to say I'd been out on opening day. So I looked at my members handbook and I picked beat number 11, Lower Pont Davydd on the River Clwyd. And the reason I've picked this beat is we've had it leased now for 5 or 6 years. I think it was just before COVID when we took the lease, and it's been very lightly fished, and I haven't fished it. And when I say I haven't fished it, I haven't fished it properly. I think in the first week that we had it, I walked along the bank. It was a bright sunny day, took a spinning rod along, flicked a few spinners in a few likely spots there and caught absolutely nothing. Surprise, surprise. And few members have really fished it, but those that have, some of them have done okay, and one in particular has done pretty well. And last year he had a few, I think he maybe about 10 sea trout there, and a few brownies. The year before, 2023 season, he did have some sea trout, but he had more brownies, and some nice brownies. From the photos, they look sort of nice 2.5 pound wild browns, which are good fish for our local rivers. So there we go. So I decided to have a proper recce of the beat. Like most beats really, to learn the beat, I guess you've got to get down and dirty, get the waders on and get in the river, and that's what I've done this morning, based from the right hand bank. I'll read out the beat description in our handbook. So it's River Clwyd beat number 11, Lower Pont Davydd. That's the name that we've given it as a club. I don't think that's the name it's known as generally locally. Mostly double bank beats downstream of the A55 flyover at junction 27A westbound in St Asaph. This is our lowest beat on the River Clwyd, 1.8 kilometres upstream of the junction pool. Expect fresh run sea trout and salmon this close to the tidal water. 934 metres of left bank starting at the flyover, 850 metres of right bank starting in the first field after the flyover. So there we go. So we've got the maps there. I've walked the beat, I've walked the bank. It's changed in the 5 or 6 years. Like everywhere, the winter floods have made their mark. And whereas the left-hand bank, a lot of it was gently graded, you could get down to the river level relatively easily. The floods have changed that now, and there's quite a lot of steeper banks, a lot more difficult to get into the water from the left-hand bank. Also, it's been fenced off by NRW, Environment Agency, North Wales Rivers Trust, Wildlife Trust, whoever it was, probably got some government money for a grant, and fenced it off to keep the cattle out of the river, which is great in one way, but like anywhere, it makes access more difficult. So there we go. The reason for me recce, like recceing anywhere, is to get in the water, see how it's wadeable, if it's safe to wade in certain parts, what the wading's like. Parts of the River Clwyd, even further up the river, getting up more towards Bodfarry, parts of it are quite muddy and silty bottoms, not so nice wading. So that's important to know, especially if you're going to fish somewhere at night. It's critical really to wade and learn the water in the daylight, and also like now when the rivers are probably about their lowest. They're at the lowest summer low levels at the moment. And then to recce and look out for any possible or likely spots where it might be worth actually fishing. When we took the beat, to be fair, the bailiff who controls the Clwyd from the A55 down on the estate water, he did say that it's not really fly water. It's never been known as fly water. It was always known as good worming water. And back in the day, with the bigger runs of sea trout and salmon that we get today, there are certain spots there where people did very well fishing the worm for salmon. Of course, now we're not allowed to fish the worm for salmon, but we can for sea trout. So that's the idea of the recce. I intend to fish the beat a little bit more, and to do that I need to get in the river, which is what I'm doing today. It's likely to be a longish video. It won't be short and snappy, and then I can pretty well guarantee that there's no rod bending fish action from the start to the finish. But I can give you a spoiler that there is one fish caught and then one take. I'm fishing with a spinning rod. I'm fishing with a 7'1", 3 to 14 gram, a nice light Savage Gear spinning rod, and I'm using an ultra thin braid which has got a very high breaking strain, and I think it's 33 or almost 40 pound breaking strain line. The reason I'm using that is not because I'm expecting to catch massive sea trout and salmon today, but the Clwyd, and especially the lower Clwyd, can be a little bit snaggy. So I need the thin line so as not to spook the fish, but the high breaking strain so I can pull out of snags and hopefully not leave some of my spinners with hooks on dangling in willow trees. So there we go. So as I say, it's probably going to be nearly half an hour. Hopefully you won't fall asleep. If you manage to stick it out, or should I say endure in the video, I do hope that you'll learn at least something about the beat, and it might hopefully make you think, well, I'll get my waders on and I'll do what Chris has just done and have a good recce of the beat. Now's the good time while the river is low, and then maybe you'll give it a go. And I'd love to hear reports that members are starting to catch decent brown trout, sea trout, and maybe even a salmon on the beat. Remember, this beat it's the lowest association or club beat on the River Clwyd by any club. There's no one else got fishing rights for an angling club lower down than the end of this beat, because then you're on the estate water and down to Junction Pool and the Castle beat, and then you're at Rhyl and Castle and the bridge. So it's the same with any water that you're fishing. Every fish that goes upstream of there has to pass this point. So that goes for every single sea trout that runs the River Clwyd, and the same for salmon as well. So there we go. I hope you do enjoy the video. I do apologise for all the sniffing. The air was quite cold this morning when I went out, so cold air always makes me sniff a little bit. I've not been snorting the Himalayan balsam seed or anything like that. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'll take this as part one. It's really based from the right hand bank. I don't fish at all in this video from the left hand bank. I'll try and get to the left hand bank in the next couple of days, and then there'll be a part two of the video. Okay, without more ado, over to the vid. It's Good Friday 2025, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good Friday. I've just popped out with my trusty little spinning rod. We haven't really had any decent rain to touch the rivers hardly, but there we go. I'm going to just go out in a couple of hours, chuck a few little meps in some deep holes, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. Okay, see you later. So this is where I'm starting. There's an electric pole there. You can just maybe see a sign there for the old Pont David Bridge.
But I climbed over that gate. Always, when you're climbing over a farm gate, always climb over the end where the hinges are, and then that doesn't put a strain on the hinges. When people climb on the other side, on the lock side, that's why a lot of farm gates don't open properly. The beach starts there where you see that metal fence going down towards the river, but it's deep there, you can't really get in there, and it's tree lined, so it's not easy to fish. So this is where I'm starting. I have to say, for starters, I've never waded any of this beat. I've fished it from the other bank with a spinner, but I haven't been here I didn't come here last season at all. But this is where I'm starting. You can wade across there, and then it gets a little bit deeper when you get round that fallen tree. But it's worth casting, probably not easy to fly fish, but certainly worth casting a worm or a spinner up there. And then I'm going to wade down there to roughly where that tall willow tree is on the left hand side, which is on the left hand bank. But there's some deep holes on the right hand side there under the tree. So I've waded down as far as here, where you can see this broken fence on the left bank, and then it narrows down with a tallish willow on the left again. So just here it's pretty deep. I'll check the river levels when I get home, but it's quite a strong flow here. You probably wouldn't want to be wading down here if the river was much higher. Stick to the left hand bank, use a wading staff, and just come nice and slowly, find your way along. But it's good water. This would be fly fishable at night if you got to know it well enough. There's certainly a couple of branches that need lopping over there. We could do that easily enough from the right hand bank. So, and this is the way I've come down. So you can see the gravel bank up there, that's where I entered the river. That's pretty well the first part of the right hand bank where you can get into the river. It's fairly shallow there, but there's some deep holes under these trees over on that side, on the right hand bank, as you're facing downstream. Okay, I'm going to wander back up now and have a cup of coffee. Although the bank, it's a high bank and it looks really muddy, the bed of the river is really nice wading. It's nice shingle, fine stones, no problem at all from that point of view. But it is a strong current, that's for sure. When I first came, I waded down and waded around. You can see those trees, and it's quite a deep hole there. And I think you could probably wade a little bit further up if you were careful. Again, definitely worth a look. But whatever you do, wade it in the daytime and wade it when the river's low like this. Get to know it. So I've just moved down in the field now, still on the right hand bank. That tree opposite is the tall willow I referred to earlier on. And it's quite a nice run down there. I'm just going to wade in, see what the bottom's like. It's okay. So there's that broken fence we could see a bit earlier on. So I was just round the corner, it's as far as I waded, and I was casting down probably about as far as this tree here, I guess. It's a nice deep hole there under that tree. Under willow trees is often a nice deep hole. This, as you can see, when the river's at this height, is an easy crossing point. So, definitely worth knowing. But then it drops down deep under that tree on the right bank there. Very fast, deep run. Well, he's not a monster, but it's my first wild fish of the season. There he is. Thank you, fella. Thank you, fish. And away you go. Well, there we go. He absolutely nailed that spinner. It's an Abu Atom. And I've just made the hook like a little bit of a fly. It's an inline single barbless hook. So casting upstream, a spinner. It's a good method for sea trout, and obviously brownies, but upstream with the spinner. Chased it back and absolutely smashed it. Actually, thinking about it, it's the first fish for this rod, Savage Gear Parabellum. It's 7'1", 3 to 14 gram. Bought it from Nick at Foxton's. That was last year before they moved to Llangollen. And I've not really had a chance to use it, so there we go. Thank you, Nick. A good recommendation. I'm still only in the first field, right hand bank, Lower Pont Davydd. Rhyl and St Asaph Angling Association. That fallen tree is definitely creating a nice hole behind it and in front of it developing now as well, so sometimes things like that worth leaving in the river. I think I'll get in here and wade down a bit. This is a great bit of water, I must say. The flow, fantastic flow. Definitely spots fly fishable with care. I mean, a little bit of lopping. If anyone comes here and likes fly fishing and there's an odd bit of willow in the way, just bring some loppers and lop away. As you can see, the left bank is high, and okay, here there's an access point. Whoa. That drops down. Bloody hell. I need the long loppers for that one. One step forward there, I would have been away. Okay, so I'm just 50-60 yards down from that big tree trunk. There's a dead tree on the left, quite distinctive. Black roots, huge willow on the right, and opposite there you've got lovely shingle, and it drops off. That must drop off to 4 or 5 feet easily. If you are wading here, be very careful. Oh, just had a take. I've just moved down 30 yards just onto the right hand bend, fairly shallow, just round there. Ooh, it's a nice drop off here. This would be fly fishable, this section. Okay, so still on the right hand bank. That's the right hand bank where my rod's pointing. That's the right hand bend we came round. Shallow there, runs into a nice deep run. There's a few deep holes here, not easy to get to. And now there's quite a nice long run now, but it runs down to a nice pool on the corner. So somewhere easily fly fishable if you want. Great for trotting a worm down, or what I'm doing today, chucking a bit of metal down. Used to be able to get down on the left hand bank to fish this pool when we first started renting the beat, but the bank's been cut away and it's just really steep now, not easy. Now you see the river bending left. This is the high bank, pretty well unfishable from this bank. But you can certainly get to it from that bank, and so using that crossing point that we saw earlier on, it is possible to access the other bank for sure. Nice bit of water this, so quite a nice depth there. Definitely fishable from the right hand bank. Fly, spinner, worm, take your pick. Remember, this is the lowest angling club water available on the Clwyd. From the end of this beat, our Rhyl and Asaph Angling Club beat, it's all Bedrithon estate. And not controlled by any angling clubs, and of course it goes all the way down to Junction Pool, which is only about half a mile from here. So all the fish, every single fish that runs the Clwyd has to come past here. Sea trout, salmon. And I know one of our members had some nice browns here. Probably 2023 more than 24, I think. Last year he had sea trout here, but the year before I think he had more browns. Spinning, mostly spinning. Bottom's absolutely fine here. You'd think it would be silty looking at the bank, but you know, it's very fine shingle. Patches of sand in between. Might seem obvious, but being such a high bank, if you're going to fish this area here, skirt well round it in the field so that your silhouette's not against the sky. Because if you just walk straight past the top of the bank, every fish in the run is going to be scootling for cover. They're going to be under those trees and you won't have a hope. I'm not doing much better just now, but because to be honest, I probably did walk past on the bank, but then this is just a recce. And to be honest, I'll go home happy, having caught that one nice wild brownie. I'd say that's the best pool I've seen so far. I can see that being full of sea trout when they're running. Just come a bit further down, that's where I've just been fishing, and there's another nice deep pool here, but not easy to get down. You might be able to just about, but probably best fish from the other side. Looks fishy. This is a nice deep run. Again, very high bank here, but we've got the other bank, so certainly fishable from there. Crikey, I wouldn't like to be under that tree when it falls down, when that other piece comes down. Crack willow. The end of the beat is actually by those tall trees you can see over there, which are on the left-hand bank. Yeah, here's the public footpath with our end of beach sign on the post. But as you can see, this bank is covered in blackthorn, I guess. Now, there's just a little spot here. It looks like someone's cut little steps here, you know. And I reckon this is a little secret spot. Someone. Okay, this is where I started first of all. And I've crossed over here fine. It looks like it's really muddy, but it's more sand there actually, just that last little bit. It just about came up to my knees there, with the river at a particular height is at. But it's relatively easy to get out here if you want to access the other bank, or take the different way back to the car. Okie doke.